Okay, this is all the factoring you really should know in my class, okay? So first off, you have to know how many terms you're trying to factor. There's 2 terms. So with 2 terms, you go GCF, space parentheses, and you set a second box for your difference of perfect squares, okay? Okay, now, right now in this first part of the video, I'm just going to set them up, okay? Now in this one, we have 3 terms. So with 3 terms, we go GCF. Then we set up the table. Okay, and then you want to know what A equals. Always put A equals on that second part. Okay, next problem. 16x to the second power minus 9. There are 2 terms. So to factor 2 terms, we do our GCF. You have to know the rules. You have to know how to set them up. Otherwise, the rest of this is really a moot point. And then difference of perfect squares. And also, I have it up on the board too. Okay, my next one. This one has 3 terms. So GCF. And then set up your table. And always put what A equals. Okay, you'll have to pay attention to that when you do the process. Okay, how many terms are here? There are 2, so that's GCF DOPS. Okay, this one there are 3 terms, so it's GCF and then the T chart. And after you do your T, you're always going to want to know what A equals. Okay, we've got a little change of pace on the next one. This one's got 4 terms. So on 4 terms, I don't do GCF, okay? I go to grouping. Again, 4 terms here. Grouping, and then DOPS. Now grouping, we go parentheses plus parentheses, then a line parentheses plus another line of parentheses, and then one parentheses with a line. Okay, DOPS. Okay, the next one, there are 3 terms. Okay, 3 terms is GCF and then the table. We're always going to want to know what A equals. And then now pause the video and go set up the 8 problems to be done. Okay, set them up just like I did. And then come back, resume the video, and then I show you the rest of the problem. Okay, so now that I have these set up, I'm ready. Okay, you should have set up your boxes on the 8 problems. Okay, it's not hard. There's either 2 terms, GCF DOPS, 3 terms, GCFT, 4 terms, grouping DOPS. Okay, now I'm ready to roll. So GCF, there's 3 things I check for. I check and see if we have a negative in front. I don't have one. Do I have X on both? Yes, I do. So I take that X. Then 3 and 30, we're going to use a multiplication table today, so find a row with 3 and 30. So here's 3, here's 30, and that's in the row of 3. That makes that the GCF. So 3x is factored out, put a parentheses around it. Then 3 divided by 3 is 1, we delete that x, and that goes down to just an x. Negative 30 divided by 3 is negative 10, and then we can cancel those. Now in the DOPS box, you have a minus, but 10, and by the way, here are your perfect squares right here, down that diagonal in bold. It doesn't appear that 10 is one of the numbers we have, okay? So I cross that out. and that's F1, and that's F2. So sometimes you cross the dots box out. It's fine. Okay, next problem. Do you have a negative in front? Nope. Do you have X on everything? Nope. 1, 4, and 21. Well, 1's the smallest, and anytime 1's the smallest, that's the GCF. The GCF's just a plain old 1 with no X or a negative. You don't do the GCF box. You got to understand you cross boxes out some of the time. And then my table, I go A, C, A, B, C. So I take positive 1 times negative 21. So I got negative 21. So that would be a minus, and I'm trying to get 4. Keep in mind 4 is negative. That's important later. 1 and 21, that's not 4. 21 divided by 2 is a decimal. 21 divided by 3 is 7. 7 minus 3 is 4. So 4 is negative. That makes my 7 negative. And I have a negative up here with the 21, so that means the signs have to be opposite. Okay, now that I found the numbers, what's my A? Here's my A. It's 1x to the second. Well, if it's a 1, we can delete the 1 and then just make 2 parentheses, because I know x to the second is just x, and x plus 3 minus 7. I did not pull out a GCF. If I do, I put it down here, but I didn't, and that's F1, and that's F2. Don't solve them. You're not solving them. You just got to factor it correctly. Okay, next problem. GCF. Do you have a negative in front? Nope. Do you have X on both the numbers? No, you don't, so don't put X. And then 16 and 9. So I find a row. It doesn't appear that 16 and 9 appear in any row, okay? So the GCF's 1, okay? See, I have 16 but no 9. I have 9 but no 16. I mean, here's a 16, there's no 9. Okay, then the GCF's 1, okay? So if it's just plain old 1 with no X and no negative, don't do it, okay? Now, difference of perfect squares. Well, you got the minus. 9's here, that's 3 by 3. 16's here, that's 4 by 4. 4 times 4. Then x to the second would have an x on each one of those 4s. So I go ahead. That's 4x, 4x, and 3, and 3. There was no GCF, so I do not put anything down there. Okay? That's F1. That's F2. Okay, my next problem. 15. So do we have a negative in front? Nope. Do you have x on all 3 terms? Nope. 15, 11, and 12. 15 and 12, but no 11. 15, yeah, there is none, okay? So the GCF's 1, okay? So it means I delete that. Okay, then I use my A times C method. 15 times negative 12 is, actually it's negative 180, sorry about that. And that's a minus to try to get to 11, okay? 11's negative. 1 and 180, nope. Divide by 2, you get 90. 90 minus 2 is not 11. 180 divided by 3 is 60. 60 minus 3 is 57. 180 divided by 4, I'll use my calculator for that one. It's going to be 45. 45 minus 4 is not 11. You got to be patient. 5 and 36. 36 minus 5 is not 11. Okay. 180 divided by 6 is 30. 30 minus 6 is 24. You can feel yourself getting closer. You started with factors that obviously were not. 180 divided by 7. 180 divided by 8. Decimal. Don't even put it. And 9 and 20. What's 20 minus 9? I think that's 11. So it's those two. Now 20 is negative, and we have a negative here, so signs are the opposite, so plus. Now here, what's my A? My A is 15x to the second. Now I can't delete the 15 like I could the 1. So when I have a number that's not a 1, I want to make 2 sets of parentheses. And I start with a 15 attached to each of my x's. Don't put that as x to the second. You're breaking the x to the second into x times x. Then plus 9 minus 20. So find me the row, where the greatest row with 15 and 9, okay? Well, here's 15, here's 9. That's in the row of 3, and that's the greatest one. They have pairs, so divide by 3. And that is 5x plus 3. Some people are wondering, what do I do with the 3? Nothing. Cross it out. Then 15 and 20 are both in the row of 5, so we can divide that by 5. That's 3x minus 4. And I did not do a GCF, so that's F1, and that's F2. That one was a little bit trickier. If I multiply that out, I'll end up here. Okay, next one. Do you have a negative in front? Yeah, you do. So you need a negative, 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 negative. Okay? Now, do I have x on both of those terms? No, I don't. 18 doesn't. So no x. 2 and 18 are both in this row. 2, 18. So that's 2. So I factor out negative 2, not with an x, though. Okay? So I go up and divide by negative 2. That's 1x to the second, and that's negative 9. Put minus 9 if it's negative. Okay, now the DOPS takes place here now, okay? So I got my minus, and 9 is 3 times 3, and 1 is 1 times 1. And then having an x to the second means I connect an x to those 1s, and I go 1x, 1x, 3, 3. Now here we had a little GCF, so I put negative 2 underneath there. But that doesn't have an x, so I don't put an F label. I just F label the parentheses with the x's. Because if I had to solve that equation, I wouldn't care about the negative 2. I want to see it, but GCF here, you got a negative. Nope, you don't. Okay. Do you have x on everything? Nope, you don't. 4, 28, 48. Okay, so 4, 28. I don't see 48 there. 4's here. 28, 48. So 4 we got for sure. Now, I don't really have anything else because that's the last row I see 4 in, so the GCF's 4. But just 4, not 4x. So I go divide by 4. And I have 1x to the second minus 7x plus 12. And the ABC takes place here, okay? A is 1x to the second, okay? You can forget about the 1. 1 times positive 12 is positive 12, so I got a positive this time, and that'll be adding then to get to 7. Keep in mind, 7's negative. 1 and 12, nope. That's 8. 3 and 4. Yep, that's 7. So 7's negative, so I have negative 4 for sure. And a positive up there means the signs have to be the same, so they'd both be minus. Now, A is just x to the second, so I just need 2 parentheses, x, and then minus 3, minus 4. Now, you need to pull that GCF of 4 down. It doesn't have x with it, so F1, F2. Those would be the factors I would use to solve the equation. Okay, now grouping. I have 1x to the power of 3 minus 7. That needs a second power, sorry. Okay, I forgot the second power on that. There should be one. And then negative 9x plus 63. Okay, now you're figuring the GCFs out. You don't need a negative here. You do need one here, okay, because you have a negative in front. You need x here to the second, but you aren't going to need x here because 63 don't have it. Now, the actual numbers themselves, 1 and 7, anytime 1 is in the group, it's a 1 GCF. You can put a 1 there. I'm not going to, though. Okay, 9 and 63. Okay, so let's see what we got for 9, and so let's find a row with 9 first. Here's 9 is 63. Yep, there's 63, so 9. Okay. Okay, and I pull out x to the second, and I pull out negative 9. And then 1, that goes down to x, minus 7, that cancels. That's 1x, negative 9 divided by negative 9 is 1 with x, and then a minus 7. So I have 1x minus 7 in each parentheses. And then we delete those, and I have x to the second, negative 9. So I put x second minus 9. Now the first parentheses I drop down, okay? Now this is a minus, and 9 is a perfect square because that's 3 by 3. And x to the second is x times x. Now had I put a 1 there, I would have had 1x to the second. That's just 1, 1. That'll work, okay? So x, if you want to put 1, you can put it, okay? And all these have x's, so F1, F2, and F3. Okay, and then finally, GCF here, we have no negative in front. We don't have x on everything. And then 9, 3, and 30. Well, check for 3. Here's the only row with a 3. There's 9 in that row, yep. There's 30 in that row, yep. So 3 will work. Just 3, though. You can't put an x with it because the 30 doesn't have x. That gives me 3x to the second minus 1x minus 10. So the ABC comes from here, not from here. And A is 3x to the second. Okay, so I can't delete the number, the 3, because it's not a 1. 3 times negative 10 is negative 30. That's a minus trying to get to 1, negative. 1 and 30, nope. 2 and 15, nope. 10 minus 3 is 7. 30 divided by 4 is a decimal. And then 30 divided by 5 is 6. 6 minus 5 is 1. So 1 is negative, makes my 6 negative. And then when I have a negative up there, the signs are the opposite. Okay, now A is 3. Okay, so I can't just call that x times x like I can if there's a 1 there. So I want to make 2 rows of parentheses. I go 3x, 3x. Plus 5 minus 6. Okay, 3 and 5, here's 3 and here's 5. That's just a 1. That's the only row with 3 and 5. So GCF here's 1. You can divide by 1, but it just remains the same. That sometimes happens. 3 and 6, you can divide those by 3. Okay. Now, you did have a GCF with a 3, but it does not contain x, so the F labels come here. There's just 2 of them. Anytime you started with an x a second, there's going to be only 2 Fs. Through a third, there, like this one, there's going to be 3. Okay.